The views and opinions expressed on this program are not necessarily those of the staff and management of WBBZ-TV. It's time for Political Buzz, the television forum to discuss politics and issues of interest for all of Western New York. Now, from the WBBZ television studio at the Eastern Hills Mall, this is Political Buzz.
Hello and welcome to Political Buzz. I'm John DeSciullo. Thank you for joining us on your hometown television station, WBBZ-TV. Our above-the-fold topic, gun control. The great debate heated up again after the tragic shooting in Newtown, Connecticut, which was swiftly followed by President Barack Obama empowering Vice President Joe Biden to look at the issues more closely. And that was followed by his presentation to the nation, calling for background checks, limiting ammunition rounds, calling for politicians not to be concerned with their rating from the gun lobby. Andrew Cuomo made an announcement just one day before the president and signed the New York SAFE Act into law in what some say was a rush to legislation, also calling for a limit in ammunition rounds and questioning the use of military-style weapons, noting that you don't need a military assault rifle to shoot a deer. Now, all of that sparked thousands of people to converge on Niagara Square on a recent Saturday afternoon to make their voice heard in what was planned as to coincide with Nationwide Gun Appreciation Day. The event turned into a protest with many in attendance saying that these laws are an infringement on their Second Amendment rights. Now, we touched on this hot topic a few weeks ago, and it's going to be in the news cycle for many weeks to come. And so here on Political Buzz, we're going to continue that discussion with this and other programs. So we welcome back Democratic strategist and attorney from Underberg and Kessler, Steve Pigeon. And also joining Steve on the show, a former Republican candidate for the governor of the state of New York, president of Ellicott Development, Carl Paladino. And Carl, you were a speaker at the event and really motivated those folks in attendance. What did you say to them?
I was awed by the turnout. They think the news reported there were 1,000 people. I don't think they understand what 1,000 people look like. So we sent somebody up on a Statler, and they counted actually about 3,600 people out there, which was a real good showing. And they were in from Rochester. They were in from the southern tier. They had come from great distances, okay, to be there on a very, very cold day. There were a lot of speakers talking about the Second Amendment. They were talking about the importance of really understanding what the Second Amendment was about. And we've argued this before here, but you know, this idea that Cuomo came out in his announcement and said that you don't need an assault weapon to hunt deer, and you don't need 30 rounds in a clip to hunt deer. Well, the Second Amendment is not about hunting. The Second Amendment is about the right of the New Yorker or any citizen of our country, okay, to bear arms and to hold arms to protect his family. And we get into all that stuff. We start hearing about, I mean, Bloomberg, okay, Bloomberg, give up all your armed security and then talk to us, okay? As to Obama, yes, you've got armed security protecting your children. How do we protect our children? All these arguments go around and back and forth. But the essence of it was that this entire charade had nothing to do with gun control. It had to do with the ego, the need to satisfy an arrogant ego of a governor who wants to be president of the United States, a governor who could come out and totally upset the people of his state for his political gain, for his political advantage. The bill started out, his people put together a bill that called for the confiscation of weapons. It called for taking all shotguns and all assault weapons, any semi-automatic weapon off the streets. That's where it started. Now, the bill was significantly watered down. And why did he allow it to be watered down? Because that wasn't his goal. He was happy with a cosmetic bill that he could come out and pound his chest and say, I'm Andrew Cuomo. I'm the governor of the state of New York. What I'm doing here today, I can do as president of the United States.
But Carl, some people say, look, somebody had to do something. I mean, look at what's happened since. There was a shooting at Lone Star College in Houston. A couple of guys got into an argument, had guns, shot each other, nobody killed. But then a terrible incident a young man in Albuquerque, Mexico, ended up killing his family, had access to guns, wanted to go to Walmart.
None of the restrictions that were put on by this bill would have any effect whatsoever on those actions that you just described.
But the point being, I guess the point being that these violent acts
because the bad guys are always going to be able to get guns. Okay, they're always.
We make it too easy.
It's the actor.
We make it too easy for the bad guys.
Wait a minute. A bad guy flies an airplane into a building.
We make it too easy.
He flies an airplane. He's going to find, if he's intent on killing somebody, he's going to find a way to kill somebody. He'll fly an airplane in. He'll drive his car into
than anywhere, and therefore we have more gun violence than anywhere. But I obviously don't see the New York law the way Carl does. Yes, it's true. I think that it's very true, and the Heller decision points out, yes, there is a right to bear arms in the Constitution. But history will tell you, and the court has said with precedent, time after time after time, that you can limit those rights. For instance, you don't have a right to shout fire falsely in a crowded theater. So restrictions and limitations on every constitutional right is accepted. And all that, what the New York law does is where every state in the country should be. What Andrew Cuomo did is led the way and has a model where every state should be. And that does recognize the right to bear arms, but not the right for assault weapons. Not the right for a 100 magazine firing.
Andrew Cuomo put another notch in his gun. That's all it was. He got his gay marriage. Now look what else I could do.
Yeah,
I could slap back all these people with guns.
There's a lot of people that believe in gay marriage. And there's a lot of people that believe that we should not have assault rifles and 100 shooting and 20, 30
but in a
shot
democracy,
magazines.
In a democracy, you follow the rules if you want to pass legislation. Yeah. He didn't follow the rules.
Yes, he did.
He gave a certificate of necessity,
which is the rule.
No.
The certificate of necessity is the rule.
That's to cover very critical exceptions to the rule.
These issues have been debated for years and years.
And then he went and got his little boy Skelos. He got his little boy Skelos, said, "Come here, Dean, okay? Dean, I want you to sign on to this thing, okay? Because I need you to bring me some Republicans, okay? These Republicans, I need what do you call it? I need Republican support on this bill, bipartisan support on this bill. And so Dean Skelos cowered over, okay, with all the little girls, and they went giggling, and they started talking about, okay, Dean Skelos is going to be on our side on this thing. And then two guys from Western New York, okay, Mark Rosanti and Tim Kennedy, okay, who had every opportunity to vote against this thing, both of them voted for it. Why? They were cowards. They were cowards for not standing up to an illegitimate process. They would have called for. The bill has to sit for
these issues have been out there for years.
Steve, you know about these guys. Okay, they don't have much of much brain power going on. All right, these guys are lacking seriously in brain power. Now they tell us, "Oh, we used our best judgment. We think the bill was okay." Well, hey, fellas. Why don't you just abide by the rule? It says 72 hours sit. That means so the press can get it out to the people. The people can come back and comment. The people can comment on the specifics of it and not all this innuendo and guessing as to what's in the bill. And the people can then address their comments to their elected officials. No, the cowards won't allow that. The cowards wanted a vote. Dean Skelos could have held that bill for 72 hours. Okay, he could have held it. And for 70, he could have held it forever if he wanted to.
Could have kept it off the.
He could have kept it out there altogether.
So, but the point was, what the bill did is what most common sense.
You're talking about the same
in the state and the country want, which is ban the assault weapons, ban the ability to have 100-shot magazines. Make sure that background checks are universal, because right now somebody could go to a gun show, buy 40 guns, and go sell them privately.
We have no problems with that stuff.
Well, that's what the bill said, Carl.
No, that's one element, all right? But allow the state of New York to change, because what you've been doing and what you continue to do as Democrats running this 6-state government, all right, is hurting our state. We're sliding into the abyss. We're losing businesses. We can't get jobs. Okay, the young are leaving us, and it's all for a reason.
Well,
you can't keep doing the same nonsense, Steve.
That's been in the Northeast. That's been a trend in the Northeast that is now reversing.
Don't give me that trend.
That's now reversing.
There's no reversal.
We have the last 2 years in this state.
By the way, we have
worked on controlling taxes. We've worked on controlling taxes, made the state more business friendly, and have a legislature that's not dysfunctional because of the leadership of Governor Cuomo.
He's got to talk.
Carl, don't interrupt Steve. I'll interrupt Steve. But Steve, the governor already is looking at maybe the ammunition rounds may not work for certain police situations, and maybe there were flaws in this act.
That the bill can't be tweaked and amended. I believe that, first off, in politics is timing, and great things happen based on events. The timing was right to get that passed. If he would have done what you said,
the emotional support of the public was
then the special interests would get involved. The emotion
if
would
he gave
pass.
The people a little bit of time to.
The people want this, Carl.
Huh?
The people want this.
You don't
bill.
have an IQ between those two guys, and they're making a judgment.
The people want this bill. The majority of New Yorkers support this bill. The majority of people in the United States of America support it. It's been the special interests that stop it.
Wait a minute.
So the timing was
majority rules on everything.
I'm going to rule right here and say we're going to take a break with Political Buzz. There's some information on the screen. The NewYorkSafeAct.com is where you can find information. Political Buzz will continue with Carl and Steve when we come back.
We know that there are things that work. Tougher laws work. Mandatory minimums work. Increased penalties work. An increased effort by law enforcement in interdicting and searching out and taking illegal weapons off the street works. Focusing on criminals who use these weapons works. And we see that data time and time again. And that's where I think our efforts need to be. And I'm glad that the governor cares about safety in New York. And I'm suggesting that we look at the things that work and do something about it.
I have a lot of concerns with many of the proposals. I think some of them are good. I think if you look at what happened in Connecticut and Aurora, Colorado, what's in common with both of those incidents is not just that they were using an AK-15, but also that the perpetrator had serious mental illness. So I think we really, in order to solve the problem, we really need to be focusing on the shooter, not the weapon.
Welcome back to Political Buzz. We've heard from the lawmakers with their views on gun control, and with few exceptions, it seems to split down party lines. Steve, I read where David DiPietro, a Republican, looking to bring a petition to Albany. We were trying to bring in an attorney who apparently has gathered up information from gun owners who wants to enact a class action lawsuit. Now, you're an attorney. I mean, would any of that have weight? And is there any merit to taking that law and changing it? We were discussing during the break about George Maziarz has an issue with it. Others have an issue with it.
Well, again, I don't think the lawsuit has merit. And I think what you'll see again from what I see is that these are issues that have been debated for years. And what we have is a common sense, sane law that was passed that bans the assault killing machine weapons, bans the magazines, and tries to bring universal background checks, and tries to keep the guns out of the mentally challenged, mental people with mental health issues, and is then trying to raise attention and raise funding to those programs so that we can identify the people that should not be owning guns. But it does recognize a right to bear arms, but also a right to restrict what those arms are that are being held by the populace. And we're saying that no civilian needs a killing machine assault rifle. Now, I think what you saw in the Senate is that because of the fact that there's the coalition, that we were actually able to get a vote on the floor. For years, even though a majority of the population would want action, the Republican majority was able to bottle up the bill and never let there be a vote. Now we have a coalition in that Senate where there is going to be votes on issues. And I think what you saw, what was passed, was common sense and supported by most New Yorkers.
Now, you did say the majority want this bill passed. The majority feel this is the right thing to do.
Majority of the population, the majority of the voters, and the majority of the senators.
But let's now contrast, Carl, to what you saw, where thousands are gathering at Niagara Square. They're saying
we have 20 million.
They're saying
we have 19
maybe
million people in the state.
I understand that. I'm just saying there's 3,000 people, but there are an awful lot of people.
And 2/3 of the population supported the bill. and support what even Carl, I get you to agree that you have no problem with those things that I said.
And what I find interesting there is that when they say who supported and whatever, these are polls, and polling is a very imperfect science. It's how you ask the question. It's whether it's a push question, whether it's an invasive question, or are you just asking a factual,
no matter
simple
how you
question?
ask on the
no
assault
matter
ban,
how you
Carl,
ask,
no matter how you ask it, people oppose. People support an assault
right,
ban.
Let me finish.
They support
I shut my mouth for 5 minutes while you talked just now. All right. You can get a poll to say just about anything. It's how you ask the question.
Yeah.
So they come out with this silliness and they say, "Oh, people are you don't like those weapons that killed all those kids up in Connecticut, do you?" Okay, well, no, I think they're terrible.
That's a leading
All right?
question.
It's a very leading
That's
question.
not how these polls are being asked. Carl,
Steve,
they're not.
I've been there.
Carl.
I've seen them.
Carl.
Why don't they publish the exact wording in the polls?
But they
Why
do.
don't they? No, they never do.
Because they do.
No, liberals don't
it's not
do
to
that.
with liberals. Common sense dictates
Stop.
that most
I have a
people,
different point to make.
Most
I have a
people
different
believe
point to make.
assault weapons should be banned.
Why are you so stubborn against that assault weapon piece, Carl?
Because I just think that it's giving people the impression that they have solved a problem.
No one's saying that, Carl.
Stop it. Stop answering. Hold on. That they have solved a problem. They're using the emotional time when we have had a number of these killings, and they're saying this. If you ban assault weapons, we're never going to have this happen again. And believe me, most of the people that get the free ice cream and all that in this country, they're in la-la land, and they can't really connect up those dots and understand it. They have not solved one problem because they're going after the wrong thing. They're going after a weapon instead of going after the mind behind the weapon. And we all know that. But we let our government go and take a situation like this, an emotional situation, and go and infringe upon a right where all the good guys, okay, the only people it affects are the people that are responsible gun owners. And I said before, in my case, I trained troops for 11 years on how to shoot an M16. I enjoy my AR-15. I enjoy shooting it.
But Carl, that's not true. All right, that first off, we have made it too easy in this country for people with mental problems to be able to get these guns.
Hello, that's
all
good.
Right?
That's very
so,
good.
All right?
Why don't we tighten that up?
That means we need to limit the right to bear arms to stop those type of guns to be available to a civilian. All right, that's all that's being said.
Well, now. Hey, let me give you a comparison. Let me give you a comparison.
Carl.
People have used airplanes, okay, to kill people, haven't they?
Yes.
Haven't they?
Yes, they have.
Have they? Okay.
Yes, they have.
All right. So don't you think we should take all the airplanes out of the sky? Because
that's not
somebody else can use an airplane to kill people.
That is not
It's about as fair and logical as your argument.
What happens in this country with these mass shootings and with these shootings every day in every city in America where kids are killing kids? The guns are too available. Why are they too available? Because 40% background checks are not done. Why are they too available? Because we don't have a federal gun running law.
We're not arguing with them.
Why are they too available? Because people can go to gun shows and buy 40, 50 guns and sell them.
Registration is fine.
But you are arguing it. Maybe you're not, but the NRA is, and the gun lobby is, and the right-wing votes in Congress and in the state legislatures across the country are arguing that. They are. And all we're saying is let's have common sense into this. And we are. Both Obama and Cuomo are talking about the whole problem. They're saying make the killing machines. Don't allow people to have the killing machines. Ban the assault weapon. Don't allow them to have the magazines that shoot 100 bullets. And they are talking mental health. And they are talking about restricting the video games. And they are talking about Hollywood, you need to wake up and we can't just be showing these killing bloodbath movies. They're talking about all of that in all of these proposals. And the majority of the public wants this done. They're saying that no one should be able to go buy these killing machines and have these assault. That's what we're saying.
So, Steve,
Carl.
how do you?
If you agree with that, then you should separate. You should separate the assault. You should back off the assault gun, and stay on right to bear arms. And I think that we'd find some common ground areas where you and I could even agree, but not on the assault weapons.
This is
no way.
typical of the liberal elitist governments that we have, that they will go and take advantage of the minorities. And in this case, it probably is a minority of gun owners in the state of New York.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. Going back to the question from earlier, even if it is a minority, it's a strong lobby. They have strong, passionate viewpoints. How do you answer that, Steve?
The NRA is a lobbyist now for the manufacturers.
You're messing
the NRA
with my rights.
is a lobbyist for the manufacturers of guns. Most gun owners and most members of the NRA, when they're polled, actually support a ban on the killing weapons. So what they're really speaking for is the special interest.
Where do you get these statistics?
It's been shown time and time again that the majority of members of the NRA.
I agree that you know
on the background
we
checks
should
and on
not
the assault
allow
ban.
we should not allow our the population to go buy military weapons such as bazookas and 105 millimeter howitzers and that kind of stuff.
But you're okay with the
handguns,
the gun that was used in the Sandy Hook?
Let me tell you. A 9mm handgun can do the same damage as an AR-15 and probably a lot more effectively.
And we need to restrict through background checks who has those.
If you people just knew what you were talking about, if you understood what these weapons are and the capability. You think there's a poll, you think this, you think that, you create all this nonsense around you, and you aggravate everybody around you.
And on that note, I'm going to jump in and say we're going to take a break.
But I think the majority of people agree with me.
Political Buzz and some final thoughts right after this. Welcome back to Political Buzz. I've posted links to many of the news articles on both sides of the gun issue on our website, WBBZ.TV. I encourage you to go to the site. We're also going to begin posting the show online on the WBBZ YouTube channel because I know Carl and Steve want to share it with their friends in high places so that they can get a chance to see what we do here on WBBZ, your hometown television station, where every voice is heard. We're going to continue this discussion on gun control, I know, in the weeks and months to come, along with the budget for the New York State. It's presented by the governor. Steve, Carl, thanks for joining us as always.
John.
And thank you for joining us Thursday nights at 7:30, Friday morning at 9 a.m., and Sunday morning at 10 on WBBZ TV. Thanks.